We live in a world that tells us getting older means getting weaker. It tells us that after 50, your body is supposed to slow down, soften, and quietly accept decline. And I want to challenge that idea with every ounce of truth and urgency I have, because weakness is not an age problem. Weakness is a behavior problem, and behaviors can be changed. Right now, millions of people are walking every day believing they are protecting their bodies. They lace up their shoes, they count their steps, they feel responsible and disciplined, and yet their hips ache, their backs hurt, their balance gets worse, and their glutes, the most powerful muscles in the human body, quietly shut down. They shrink, they forget how to work, and nobody tells them the truth. The truth is this: walking alone is not enough, especially after 50. It keeps your heart moving, yes, but it does not wake up the muscles that hold your body together. If your glutes are weak, your entire physical system starts to collapse like a house with a broken foundation. Knees suffer, posture suffers, confidence suffers, even your mood suffers, because when the body feels unstable, the mind feels fragile. I see this every day in my work. People who thought they were doing everything right suddenly realizing they can't get up from a chair without pushing with their hands. People who feel embarrassed because stairs have become enemies instead of simple parts of life. And I want you to feel the emotion in that moment, the frustration, the fear, the quiet worry that maybe this is just how life is now, but it does not have to be. Your body is not a victim of time. It is a reflection of what you repeatedly ask it to do. If you sit all day and only walk in straight lines, your glutes slowly go to sleep. They don't disappear dramatically, they disappear quietly. And quiet problems are the most dangerous problems because we ignore them until they are impossible to ignore. Here is the empowering part. Change does not require a gym membership. It does not require complicated machines. It does not require punishing workouts. Sometimes it requires something as simple and as powerful as a small, intentional movement done while sitting in your own chair. A movement that reconnects your brain to the muscles it has forgotten. A movement that says to your nervous system, "Wake up. We are still alive. We are still strong." This is how real transformation happens. Not with extremes, but with consistency, with choosing the right action instead of the comfortable habit, with understanding that after 50, smarter beats harder every single time. I want you to imagine something. Imagine standing up from a chair and feeling stable and powerful instead of stiff and shaky. Imagine walking without that familiar ache in your lower back. Imagine bending down to pick something up and not feeling afraid you might not get back up. That feeling is not reserved for young people. That feeling is available to anyone willing to train their body intelligently. And here is the emotional truth. Taking care of your body is not vanity. It is dignity. It is independence. It is the difference between needing help and being able to help others. Strong glutes mean a strong life. They mean freedom. So stop believing the myth that getting older means getting weaker. Stop thinking more walking will magically fix muscles you never actually use. Start doing what truly works. Small, deliberate, targeted actions that rebuild your foundation from the inside out. Because the goal after 50 is not just to survive, it is to thrive, to feel capable, to feel steady, to feel powerful in your own skin. Your body is waiting for you to lead it, and the moment you decide to take that first simple step, even if it's done sitting in a chair, everything begins to change. Aging has been unfairly blamed for problems it did not create. We have been conditioned to believe that turning 50, 60, or 70 automatically means becoming weaker, slower, and more fragile. But that belief is not science. It is a story we tell ourselves to excuse habits that no longer serve us. The human body does not simply decide to break down at a certain birthday. Muscles do not vanish because a calendar page turns. They weaken because we stop asking them to work. Weak glutes are a perfect example of this misunderstanding. People assume that if their hips feel soft, if their balance feels shaky, if getting up from a chair feels harder than it used to, it must be age. They sigh and say, "Well, I'm getting older." That sentence sounds harmless, but it is quietly destructive. It removes responsibility, it suggests helplessness, and most dangerously, it stops people from taking action that could change everything. The truth is much less comfortable and far more empowering. Muscles follow instructions. If you use them, they grow stronger. If you ignore them, they grow weaker. This is not punishment. This is biology. After 50, most of us sit more, move in limited patterns, and rely on the same easy motions we have used for decades. The glutes, which are designed to stabilize the body, generate power, and protect the spine, slowly go offline. Not because they are old, but because they are bored. Our modern lifestyle accelerates this process. Chairs, cars, screens, and convenience quietly train the body to do less and less. Day after day, the brain learns that it does not need to activate those big, powerful muscles anymore. So, it stops. And when the brain stops sending signals, the muscles shrink. This is not fate, it is neglect in slow motion. What makes this especially important is that the glutes are not just another muscle group. They are the command center of physical strength. When they weaken, the entire system begins to compensate. The lower back takes on work it was never meant to carry. The knees absorb forces they were never designed to handle. Posture collapses. Balance becomes uncertain. People begin to feel older not because of time, but because their foundation has quietly crumbled. Understanding this changes everything. It means that weakness is not an identity. It is a condition created by repeated choices. And choices can be changed. The same nervous system that learned to ignore your glutes can be taught to wake them up again. The same body that adapted to inactivity can adapt to strength. Human beings remain remarkably capable of growth at every stage of life if given the right stimulus. This is where hope lives, not in denial but in action. When people realize that their bodies are not betraying them, but simply responding to how they have been used, something powerful happens. They stop seeing themselves as victims of age and start seeing themselves as participants in their own recovery. Strength after 50 is not about heroic workouts or extreme transformations. It is about honest awareness. It is about recognizing that neglect, not time, created the problem. And it is about making small, intelligent changes that send a clear message to the body. You are still needed, you are still capable, and you are not done yet. The moment we accept this truth, aging stops feeling like a sentence and starts feeling like a choice. Walking has been elevated to a kind of modern health religion. We are told to count steps, chase daily totals, and believe that as long as we keep moving forward, we are protecting our bodies. And there is some truth in that. Walking is good for the heart, good for circulation, good for mental health. But somewhere along the way, we turned walking into a solution for everything. And it is not. Movement is not the same as strength. This distinction matters more after 50 than at any other time in life. Walking moves the body through space, but it does not challenge the muscles that hold the body together. It keeps the engine idling, but it does not rebuild the parts that are wearing out. When people rely only on walking to stay healthy, they are confusing activity with resilience. The glutes are the clearest example of this misunderstanding. They are large, powerful muscles designed to stabilize the pelvis, protect the lower back, and generate real force. But ordinary walking asks very little of them. The motion is repetitive and limited. It requires endurance, not strength. So a person can walk 5,000 steps, 10,000 steps, even 20,000 steps a day, and still have weak, inactive glutes. This is why so many dedicated walkers are surprised when they begin to feel fragile. They are doing what they were told to do. They are being disciplined. They are putting in the time, and yet their hips ache, their posture weakens, and simple tasks like standing up from the floor or climbing stairs become harder. The problem is not effort. The problem is the wrong kind of effort. After 50, the body needs a different message. It needs to be reminded how to be strong, not just how to keep moving. Muscles respond to challenge. They wake up when they are asked to push, stabilize, and resist. Walking rarely provides that challenge. It is a beautiful habit for general health, but it is a poor tool for rebuilding what years of sitting have quietly taken away. There is also a psychological comfort in walking that can become a trap. It feels familiar and safe. It allows people to believe they are doing enough without confronting the uncomfortable truth that something deeper needs attention. But comfort and effectiveness are not the same thing. Real progress often requires stepping outside of what feels easy. This does not mean walking is useless. It means walking has limits. And pretending those limits do not exist keeps people stuck in frustration. They walk more and more, expecting different results, while the true source of their weakness remains untouched. The body does not reward good intentions. It rewards the right stimulus. The goal after 50 should not be to collect steps like trophies. The goal should be to preserve independence and capability. That requires focused, intentional work on the muscles that actually hold us upright. A few minutes of targeted glute activation can do more for long-term function than hours of casual walking. Understanding this is liberating. It frees people from the exhausting belief that they must walk farther and farther to fix problems walking was never designed to solve. It invites a smarter approach, one that respects how the body truly works. Movement keeps us alive, strength keeps us able, and confusing those two ideas is one of the quiet mistakes that steals vitality from people who are trying their hardest to stay well. In a culture obsessed with dramatic transformations and extreme solutions, we have forgotten a simple truth about the human body. Precision matters more than intensity. People are constantly encouraged to do more, push harder, sweat longer, and chase bigger challenges. But after 50, the goal is not exhaustion. The goal is effectiveness. And effectiveness rarely comes from random effort. Most people approach exercise the way they approach good intentions. They do a little of everything and hope something works. They walk, they stretch, they try new routines they saw online, they buy equipment they never really use. All of it feels productive, and yet the underlying weakness remains. This is not because they lack discipline, it is because they lack focus. The body changes when it receives a clear, specific signal. Muscles do not respond to general activity, they respond to targeted demand. If the glutes are weak, no amount of unfocused movement will magically wake them up. What wakes them up is a deliberate action that asks them to do exactly what they were designed to do. One correct exercise performed with attention can achieve more than an hour of scattered effort. This idea runs against our instincts. We tend to believe that bigger problems require bigger solutions, but biology does not work that way. The nervous system learns through repetition and clarity. Small, precise movements practiced consistently send a powerful message to the brain. This muscle is needed again. Over time, that message rebuilds strength in a way chaos never can. After 50, this becomes especially important because the body is less forgiving. Random workouts that might have produced results at 30 often lead to frustration or even injury later in life. Joints become sensitive, recovery slows, energy is more precious. What matters now is not how hard you work, but how intelligently you work. This is why a simple sitting exercise, done correctly, can be transformative. It isolates the glutes, reconnects the brain to forgotten pathways, and rebuilds stability without strain. To someone used to chasing intense routines, this can feel almost too easy. But easy is not the enemy. Ineffective is the enemy. The right movement, even a gentle one, creates change when it is done with intention. There is also a psychological shift that happens when people discover the power of targeted action. They stop feeling overwhelmed by the idea of fixing their bodies. Instead of thinking they need to overhaul their entire lives, they realize improvement can begin with something manageable. That sense of control is often the first step toward real momentum. Consistency grows naturally from this approach. It is far easier to repeat a small, meaningful exercise every day than to force yourself through punishing workouts you secretly dread. And consistency, more than any burst of motivation, is what rebuilds strength over time. The body thrives on regular, predictable signals. We have been taught to respect effort, but after 50, it is wiser to respect strategy. The smartest path forward is not to do more of everything. It is to do the right thing again and again. When people understand this, they stop chasing exhaustion and start chasing results. True transformation is rarely dramatic in the moment. It is quiet, steady, and precise. A few intentional minutes each day can restore muscles that have been neglected for years, and that is the hopeful, empowering truth. You do not need to overwhelm your body to heal it. You only need to give it exactly what it has been missing. The glutes are often treated as if they are optional muscles, something connected only to appearance or athletic performance. But in reality, they are the silent engine of the entire body. They are the foundation on which almost every basic human movement depends. When they are strong, life feels stable and easy. When they are weak, everything begins to unravel. Most people never realize how central the glutes are until problems start appearing in other places. A sore lower back, aching knees, tight hips, poor balance, a slouched posture, these are not separate issues. They are symptoms of the same underlying weakness. The body is an interconnected system, and the glutes sit at the very center of that system like a control tower. When the control tower shuts down, the rest of the structure struggles to compensate. After 50, this connection becomes impossible to ignore. Years of sitting, limited movement patterns, and habits built around convenience gradually train the glutes to do less and less. As they weaken, The spine is forced to take on extra work. The knees absorb impact they were never designed to handle. The pelvis loses stability. Even simple actions like getting out of a car or standing up from a low chair begin to feel challenging. What looks like normal aging is often nothing more than a crumbling foundation. Balance is one of the first casualties. Strong glutes keep the body aligned and centered. They allow you to walk confidently, change direction smoothly, and recover quickly if you stumble. When they are weak, every step feels a little uncertain. People begin to avoid uneven surfaces, shy away from physical challenges, and slowly shrink the boundaries of their lives out of quiet fear. Confidence disappears long before independence does. And that loss of confidence can be emotionally devastating. Feeling unstable in your own body changes how you see yourself. It affects mood, motivation, and even social engagement. Physical weakness quietly becomes psychological weight. Posture tells the same story. When the glutes are doing their job, the body stands tall with natural ease. When they are not, the pelvis tilts, the shoulders round forward, and the spine collapses into unhealthy patterns. People blame their desks, their mattresses, their age. Rarely do they blame the real source, muscles that have forgotten how to work. Even pain follows this chain reaction. Lower back pain, one of the most common complaints after 50, is frequently the result of glutes that no longer stabilize the pelvis. The back becomes an overworked substitute, carrying burdens it was never meant to carry. Knees ache for the same reason. They become shock absorbers for muscles that have gone to sleep. Understanding this changes the way we think about strength. Building glutes is not about vanity or chasing a youthful appearance. It is about protecting the joints, supporting the spine, and preserving the ability to move through life without fear. It is about staying capable. The beautiful part is that the foundation can always be rebuilt. No matter how long it has been neglected, the body responds when those muscles are asked to work again. Stability returns, posture improves, pain eases, confidence grows. Strong glutes mean a strong body, and a strong body means freedom. Freedom to walk without worry, to stand without pain, to live without limits. That is what is truly at stake. Not just muscle tone, but the quality of everyday life. And that is why protecting and rebuilding the glutes is not a small goal. It is the central goal. Everything else depends on it. Strength after 50 is often spoken about as if it were a gift some people receive and others do not. We admire individuals who remain active and capable later in life, as though they are lucky exceptions. But there is very little luck involved. Physical resilience is not a miracle that arrives unexpectedly. It is the predictable result of decisions made day after day. The body does not change its basic rules simply because we get older. It still responds to the same principles it always has. What changes is the margin for error. At 20, we can get away with neglect. At 30, the consequences are mild. By 50, the bill finally arrives. And at that point, we face a choice. Accept decline as inevitable, or take responsibility for reversing it. Most people underestimate how much power they still have. They assume it is too late, that the years of sitting, poor posture, and weak muscles have created permanent damage. This belief becomes a kind of emotional surrender. If decline is unavoidable, why try? But the science tells a very different story. The nervous system remains capable of learning. Muscles remain capable of growing. The human body, even in later decades, is astonishingly adaptable. The real obstacle is not biology, it is habit. Habits are the quiet architects of our lives. They shape our health far more than occasional bursts of motivation ever will. Doing the right exercise once changes nothing. Doing it consistently changes everything. Strength is built not in dramatic moments, but in small, repeated choices that signal to the body again and again that it is still needed. After 50, consistency matters more than intensity. A simple movement practiced every day can gradually restore what years of inactivity took away. Each repetition rebuilds a tiny piece of the connection between brain and muscle. Over time, those tiny pieces accumulate into real, visible change. This is how decline is reversed. Not with heroic effort, but with patient persistence. There is also a psychological transformation that happens when people commit to this process. The act of choosing to care for your body becomes an act of self-respect. Instead of feeling like a passive observer of aging, you begin to feel like an active participant in your own future. That shift in mindset is just as important as the physical improvement. Independence in later life is built on these daily decisions. The ability to stand up easily, to climb stairs confidently, to walk without pain, these are not small comforts. They are the foundations of dignity. When people lose them, they do not just lose strength, they lose freedom. Preventing that loss requires intention long before problems become emergencies. Many wait for motivation to arrive before they begin. But motivation is unreliable. What truly creates change is routine. Showing up even on days when enthusiasm is low. Doing the simple, unglamorous work because you understand what it protects. The body rewards that kind of loyalty. The message is ultimately hopeful. No matter how weak someone feels today, they are never as powerless as they believe. The right daily habit can begin to rebuild stability, confidence, and capability almost immediately. Progress does not require perfection, it requires commitment. Strength after 50 is not reserved for athletes or the genetically gifted. It is available to anyone willing to choose it consistently. And that choice, repeated often enough, becomes a powerful statement to the body and to the world. I am not finished yet.